Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are viewing from in the world. Welcome to The Silent Forgotten. I'm your host, Chris, and today I will be sharing with you the life story and visiting the final resting place of the Canadian politician and entrepreneur John Finlay, 1837 to 1910. John Finlay was a Canadian politician and entrepreneur. He represented the electoral district of Peterborough East in the Canadian House of Commons for one term, serving from November 3rd, 1904 to October 25th, 1908. He was born one of three siblings as John M. Finlay in Dummer Township, Peterborough County, then in Upper Canada, which was later to become the Canadian province of Ontario, to Irish immigrants John Finlay, 1810 to 1875, and his wife Mary Mulholland Finlay, 1808 to 1846, on April 22nd, 1837. His siblings included a brother named Thomas Edward Finlay, 1838 to 1917, and a sister named Eleanor Susan Finlay, 1842 to 1925. He also had one half-sibling, another sister named Martha Letitia Finlay, 1851 to 1936, from his father's second marriage to Letitia Sampson Finlay, 1818 to 1910, following his mother's death. He was educated locally in the common public schools in his native Dummer Township, Peterborough County, Upper Canada. Following his education, he pursued a career as a manufacturer. He engaged in the trade of carriage making, but in 1866, he went into that of carriage bent goods and other merchandise, which he became when he became the proprietor of the Norwood Wheel and Bending Works Company, which served the area of Norwood, Ontario, Canada, and Tweed, Ontario, Canada. He later decided to enter politics and first served as a councillor and reeve of the village of Norwood, Ontario, Canada, and as a county councillor. He then decided to run for a seat in the Canadian House of Commons in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, to represent the electoral district of Peterborough East. A member of the Liberal Party, he won the general elections of 1904 and succeeded in office the outgoing Independent Liberal Party member John Lang, 1839 to 1921. On November 3rd, 1908. He served the electoral district of Peterborough East in the Canadian House of Commons in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, from November 3rd, 1904 to October 25th, 1908. He had served a total of 1,453 days, 3 years, 11 months, and 22 days in public service. Following his term in the Canadian House of Commons in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, he was succeeded in office by the incoming Unionist Party member John Albert Sexsmith, 1866 to 1940, on October 26, 1908. Following his retirement from politics, he returned to his manufacturing pursuits in his native Norwood, Ontario, Canada, until his death. He passed away from a long illness which included organic heart disease and dropsy, or edema, a buildup of fluid in the body, at his home in Norwood, Ontario, Canada, on November 13, 1910, at the age of 73. Following his death, he was buried in the family plot in Norwood Asphodel Cemetery in Norwood, Ontario, Canada. He was married twice, first to Mary Ann Wilson Finlay, 1837 to 1894, in 1860, and second to Lydia B. Churchill Scott Finlay, 1837 to 1922, in 1895. His first wife Mary passed away on October 29, 1894, at the age of 57, and she is buried in the family plot in Norwood Asphodel Cemetery in Norwood, Ontario, Canada, and his second wife Lydia passed away on February 9th, 1922, at the age of 84, and she is buried in the Scott family plot with her first husband Stanley Scott, 1839 to 1888, in Newmarket Cemetery in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. He had 6 children, including Mary Finlay, 1856 to 1950, William Finlay, 1862 to 1894, John Finlay, 1863 to 1864, Eliza Ann Finlay, 1865 to 1866, John Alfred Finlay, 1872 to 1951, and Eleanor Susan Finlay, 1874 to 1945. Hi guys, so today I'm here at the Norwood Asphodel Cemetery in Norwood, Ontario, Canada, and we will be visiting a gentleman by the name of John Finlay, who lived from 1837 to 1910. Now he was a Canadian politician and entrepreneur. I'm just going to show you around a little bit around just the area here before we get started. We are on a busy road. I won't show people's houses, but here we are at the main entrance to the cemetery, but we are going to go into the entrance up here, and I will just show you a little bit around here first before we go in. It's the Norwood Asphodel Cemetery, but it is also called the Asphodel Norwood Cemetery. These tricky old names, Asphodel, Asphodel. I'll just take you over to the side here. I won't show you too much because there's somebody's house here. Just show you the front. Again, this is not a country cemetery. This is a village cemetery. So I'll just show you from the front here, like this. And then we up there, and we will go in the front, and we will find the final resting place of John Finlay to pay our respects. But before we do that, like I said, I will show you a bit of the cemetery, and I will do a separate cemetery tour of this location another day. As I said, it's the Norwood Asphodel or Asphodel Cemetery, or the Asphodel Norwood Cemetery. Now this cemetery is pretty old. I'm not exactly sure what year it was. Didn't do my research on that, but I will for the next video. Here we have a war veteran, Joseph Clapper. Thank you, sir, for your service. Now it has been a few years since I've been here, so we will just go up here and we will look for his resting place, which I know is around here somewhere, and we will find it. As you can see, it's a really large cemetery. It just goes on for a while, way to the back. But we want to be careful so we don't disturb anybody who may be visiting a loved one. Let me just get my bearings. Sadly, there is one that has collapsed, which needs to be repaired. Here's a really old one right here, and some older ones here on the ground. Hartley and James Dewart died December 31st, 1855. He was 55 years of age. Okay, let's continue on this way. See if I can remember where it was. It is a round obelisk shaped one, and that's the thing with Ontario. There's a lot of stones in these cemeteries that look like the same, especially in Toronto and places like that. So I think I spotted it. So what I'll do is I'll just take you for a little gander up here, and then show you the back of the cemetery, and then we will come back and pay our respects. A few old ones there and here. I'll just walk up to the hill here. I won't walk all the way to the back. I'll just show you. I don't want to give the cemetery secrets away too much, because I have another 4 people here that I'm going to video. But maybe not today, but another day. And of course, they were all Canadian politicians too. They all were farmers, and they all did their time in the Canadian House of Commons, and they all returned home, and they were buried back here. Another few veterans. So as I said, the cemetery goes on for quite a while. I'll just take a gander over here to the road and show you how far up it actually goes. Quite a while. It's way up there to the back. All right, let's make our way to the grave of John Finlay, and we will pay our final respects to the Canadian politician and entrepreneur. Another beautiful day out here for October. Really nice. Nice cool wind, sunshine. A lot of old stones. A lot of history in this small town of Norwood. Actually, I'll show you these couple over here. Some older ones over this way. Won't show that house too much. Said before, I don't want to get into trouble. A couple older ones over there. Alright, so I think this is the, if I'm not mistaken, is this round obelisk run one right here. So we will take a quick gander. That's the back of it, and the side of it, it's really shiny. Go over this way a bit so I can get in there. And yes, so here we have the final resting place of John Finlay, the Canadian politician and entrepreneur. John Finlay, who was born in 1837 and died in 1910. So there's a glare off it. Let me see if I can read it. In memory of Mary Ann Wilson, wife of John Finlay, died December the 28th, 1894. Aged 87 years and 26 days, I believe it says. And then we will go around the front here. And here is the gentleman we came to visit. John Finlay. In memory of John Finlay, died November the 13th, 1910. Age 73 years and 6 months. Thank you, John Finlay, the Honourable John Finlay, for your service in the Canadian House of Commons and for what you did for farming and everything else. And may you and your wife rest in peace. And thank you guys. As I said, I will do another video. This is a large cemetery, and I have at least 4 other people that I'm going to do here, but I'll do those separate also. So thank you again for coming on this visit with me today. And if you like this type of content, please subscribe, like, and hit that thumbs up button. Until the next video, stay safe and take care of each other, and goodbye. Thank you so much.